Hey guys, how's it going? It's Nick the Record Lover here on Monday night, July 22nd, 2024. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I just wanted to share some great stuff that I found in the last month in my two favorite record in one of my favorite record stores. Actually, two. Um, this one I found down at the Record Revival in Quakertown. This is the Super Discs version of On the Threshold of a Dream. And I was so happy to find this because I did find it a long time ago, and it was just a little bit above the price range, but this was just right. Um, and I can't wait to hear it. I can't wait to hear it. I hear it's very good. It still has the eightfold cover inside. Really nice copy. Really nice cover. Here's the record inside the super disc sleeve. It's on black vinyl. And it does have the lyric sheet from inside that the original 1969 one did. Everything is in great shape on this record. It's amazing. A really great price that I got that one for. I'll tell you. On the Threshold of Dream. It's such a great album too. I heard the CD, the Super Audio CD of it the other day. It's really, really great. The sound quality is great, and it's got a couple of bonus tracks. Well, about 5 or 6 bonus tracks on it. But I really like the sound. It's a big improvement over when On the Threshold of a Dream originally came out on CD, like way back in the 90s. But this is a really good copy of this record. It looks like it hasn't been played. So I'm just waiting on my stylus to be replaced, and away we go. All right. Here's one I found over in Spin Me Round Records. This is the original copy of Love for Sale. It came out in 1969 on Elektra Records. Has the original Elektra sleeve inside. This is stereo. Yep. Nice cover. Red label. I think a lot of their later records are excellent. Love. I think Love is a great group. I mean, Arthur Lee. Weird. Okay. So that's pretty cool. Can't wait to hear that one. Actually, I have a green vinyl copy of that record, so it's a great record to listen to. And I have the CD. It's a really good album. It's underrated. And this I found down in Record Revival, an original 1980 Gaucho by Steely Dan. And a lot of these original albums by Steely Dan, especially the ABC ones, the original ones on ABC, like from 72 to 77, they go for a lot of money, the originals. And a lot of them were reissued. Well, I would say all of them were reissued on MCA. And I was told that the reissues on MCA don't sound as good as the original ABC copies. Like the master tapes are different, or they use second and third generation master tapes with the MCA reissue. But this is an original copy, Gaucho on MCA. It was when they went to MCA, and this was $10. I couldn't believe it. The reissue was there for $24.99. All of the 180 grams they had there, like at Pretzel Logic. Well, Pretzel Logic on MCA, but I rather would have had it on ABC if I was going to pick it up. But this here was a 1980 original copy, and it's a. I know how much I know how much people love this record, and it has the original lyric sleeve. Place that, and here's the Rainbow MCA label with the clouds. One of my favorites. I actually picked up a Countdown to Ecstasy on ABC not too long ago, and that was about $20, and that was a pretty good deal too, because I've seen those albums go for like $50, $60 for the original ABC Steely Dan's. You didn't think they would be that high because they were such common records at the time. But I guess with the way things are economically these days, here's one I found. This is a great copy. It really moves. The Beach Boys Shut Down Volume 2 on Capitol Records in Capitol Full Dimensional Stereo, ST2027, released in 1964. This here is a 1965 copy because I have the Capitol insert inside. And the latest teen album, if you will, is the early Beatles, if you could see it there, which came out in March of 1965. So this is, I would say, 99 out of 100%, a 1965 copy on the original Capitol Rainbow label. There's so many great tracks on here. I mean, this is another one. Here's the Capitol Rainbow label. You can see it. Side 1. Here's side 2. It's nice when you get nice, crisp copies on of these Capitol albums, because sometimes you can find a couple of split seam every once in a while. But this has so many great tracks on it. In the Parking Lot has excellent harmonies. I just always loved that record. I remember renting this from the library on cassette when I was in my teens, and it's such a great album. Their version of Why Do Fools Fall in Love, especially the mono version. It's like the mono single version, and it's the short version of Fun 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 on the stereo album, whereas in the mono album and the original mono single, it had a longer fade. But there's the funny Cassius Love versus Sonny Wilson, Denny's Drums, Keep an Eye on Summer, their version of Louie Louie, which is the original version before the Kingsmen got a hold of it and turned it into a garage classic. So this is a really good one. I have a couple copies of this, but this is a really nice stereo copy I found. So wasn't too much money either. And here's one in shrink wrap of Bayou Country from Creedence Clearwater Revival. And this was released in 1969. And this is in the shrink. And on the back, you can see a rare photo of Tom Fogerty without a mustache and John Fogerty with a mustache. Also has the original Creedence sleeve inside with the albums that were available at the time on Fantasy Records. This is on the Fantasy Full Radial Stereo Blue label. But no matter what, there are many people that have complained about the original master recording. The original master recordings are the half-speed master recordings that came out of all of the Creedence albums. And not too long ago, there was a box set of the original master recordings of Creedence Clearwater Revival. And people were still complaining about Proud Mary being the lowest in volume of the songs on Bayou Country, that it had like a very low compressed sound. But no matter what you listen to with that, I have Bayou Country on CD, and it's always been compressed. There's never really been a true stereo mix of Proud Mary or even Lodi. I don't think that there is. I mean, to me, it would have made sense if the first Creedence album, the self-titled, would have been released in mono and stereo, because that's just a very simple down-home swamp kind of record, even though they were from El Cerrito, California. But I think that would have benefited from being in mono, because all of the singles on Fantasy Records were released in mono up until 45 RPM revolutions per minute, which was a funny side 1, side 2 song of them just screwing around in the studio. And they actually had the single of I Heard It Through the Grapevine and Good Golly Miss Molly, which came out as a single in 1976 on Fantasy. And it was also in mono. And I think it's a real mono mix of Good Golly Miss Molly. And that's also part of the singles box set, which I have to show you guys another time. But Proud Mary, people have made homemade versions of that in stereo, and it's like, well, gee, it's still okay, but it's just not the same as the original. So horses for courses. Here's a really good one. They're all good, but Calling a Passion So Tough. This is the Beach Boys It was released in the United States with a bonus LP of a re-release of the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds. Now, this is a German copy of Carl and the Passion So Tough. And on the top, it reads The Beach Boys. The one in the United States did not read The Beach Boys. All it said was Carl and the Passion So Tough. And on the other side, when you flipped it, it said Pet Sounds. But unless there was a sticker on it, on the hype sticker that said this is the Beach Boys new album, which it might have had at the time, I've never seen one sealed. So an original one sealed. So it might have been like that in 1972. But this one is a German copy. Here's the label. Here's the Reprise label. Here's the back cover. It's not a gatefold like the original United States copy is, but it's got the same picture on the back, and it says when it was recorded in 1971. And this is in stereo, just on Reprise. It was Brother Reprise in the United States. It was so cool to find this, and it's a plastic cover as opposed to a cardboard. So get that back in the sleeve. Another goodie from yesterday was Venus and Mars Wings. This I bought for $20 sealed. This is an original 1975 Wings Venus and Mars sealed. So I would assume that everything is in this record. I had to find about 5 copies of this record before I found everything that was in it. When it had 2 stickers, 2 posters. Well, it had the planets, the sticker of all the planets on it, and it had a bumper sticker on it too, which I didn't know what it had until like the final copy I bought of it. But I've also bought like the remaster, and I've also bought the red and yellow vinyl of this. I have the box set, which I did a video of a while ago on Facebook. You can follow me there, Nick Aretano Jr. at Facebook. So if you guys ever want to come out and check me out on there, that's great. I also have a blog, recordlover.wordpress.com, and I'm also at Instagram, recordfan1969. If you guys want to follow me, that'd be great. So there's a Venus and Mars sealed. I've never sold one sealed before. Actually, I did back at Beatlefest in oh wow, this is going like into the early 2000s that I went, and he had sealed albums. The guy had sealed Wings albums, and he had a sealed Wings at the Speed of Sound, and the original price sticker said $4, which I knew it wasn't going to be, but it did not have a price on it. And the guy came back to me and patted me on the back and said 35. I was like, no, 35 for a sealed at the Speed of Sound, I don't think is fair at all. And it was a $35 copy of Venus and Mars sealed with everything in it. But I mean, to wait, I don't know, a couple of decades and find one myself for $20. I mean, that's what I would go for an original, a sealed album of anybody, really. I have like one sealed Beatles album, and that's Rubber Soul. And I believe it's an Apple Records copy because on the back of it, it has a number 12. And it was given to me by a friend. So it was sealed. It has the new improved full dimensional stereo copy on the top of it, you know, in the oval in orange. And it's ST2442. But on the back, it doesn't say this record should be played with a stereo cartridge and needle to avoid damage. So it was a later stereo copy. So they stopped putting that there because everything was practically stereo at that point. I mean, it could be a late 60s rainbow. It could be a late 60s green label. It could be a red label, capital. It could be an apple, or it could be an orange, a capital orange label. But I'm not sure about that. I mean, it's has a two guys sticker and pricing it at $5.97. So I'm not sure what it is, and I really don't want to open it. I actually talked to Bruce Spicer about it, who writes great books about the Beatles on Capitol Records. He's the maven of writing those books. I mean, he's amazing. So I asked him, and he says, well, the only way you're going to find out is doing what you don't want to do. And it's true. I don't want to open it, and I haven't opened it to this day. I received it as a birthday gift for my 30th birthday. And I was like, okay, great. So I'm never opening it. It's never going to be opened. And that's the only sealed Beatles album I have. Although I have a few copies of a few things in shrink wrap by them, originals. So here's an original Led Zeppelin Zoso, Simple Symbols, uh, the fourth album. Some people call it Led Zeppelin 4, but it just on the label it has Led Zeppelin with the symbols on, you know, it's a Zoso and all that. Here's the original sleeve for it on the back. And I think this is an 1841 Broadway copy, if I am not mistaken. Yes, folks, it is. It's an 1841 Broadway copy. So I could say this is from around 1971 when it was originally released. The fourth album is really like almost the most lauded by fans, by the Led Zeppelin fans out there. I started to get into Led Zeppelin, I would say, you know, fully on collecting them, I would say in the last year or so, because when I was in school, I mean, that was all that was there. A lot of people, my classmates were listening to either Led Zeppelin or Pink Floyd, and that was it. I was big into collecting like almost everything: Beach Boys, Beatles, Rolling Stones, you know, stuff like that. But I got more into Led Zeppelin as later on, and I have the box set of the 1994 remasters, and they sound really good. I know they've been remastered in 2015 by Jimmy Page, but I think those were remastered by Jimmy Page as well, from from what I understand. I think could be wrong about that, but the 1994 remasters, some people are going after those again. It's like they sold them to get the 2015s, and some people were saying they don't sound that much different than the 1994. So the guy said, one of the guys said in one of the groups, he said maybe it's better for me to just go out and buy one again. And I hunted one down of the entire remaster collection with the booklet, everything intact. The only thing it wasn't was shrink wrapped. It wasn't brand new, but it looked like the CDs were not used. It's the book, everything was in it, nice and easy, nice and just beautiful in there. And $19.50 I paid for it on eBay. Amazing, right? Could you say? A new one, by the way, goes for about $209. Here's an original Led Zeppelin physical graffiti I picked up not too long ago. The double album. Found this on the original Swan Song label. I also have 180 gram that I bought the reissue first, and then I found this, and I was like, too good to pass up. So I play graded it, you know, as much as I could. And the cover is in pretty good condition. It's just the glue that was coming apart. Same thing with the For Sale album by Love, and even a little bit with the Carl and the Passions one. But I mean, it was that cheap glue that they used on those plastic covers. And this one, I mean, this was custom made. So, you know, I just left everything as is. I didn't play with like the pictures. I just left everything the way it was, and the records the way they are. And that's an original. It's an original 1975 album. And actually, a guy, Michael Nolan, who does the bottom line on here, a great guy. He knows his Led Zeppelin like, I mean, you could talk to him about anything about the group. But he asked the question, is Physical Graffiti as good as the Beatles' White Album? Well, first of all, you're talking two different situations here. The Beatles' double album was released in 1968, and this was released in 1975. And it had a couple of tracks that were left over from Houses of the Holy. But not that means anything, because it doesn't. But I like Physical Graffiti. I think it's a very interesting double album. I really like it because it's a lot of different music on it, like the Beatles double album. Is it better? Is it as good? I think they're both enjoyable in their own way. I don't think that you could compare the two. I mean, maybe, you know, if somebody wanted to say, do you compare Blonde on Blonde by Bob Dylan, which was really one of the first, if not the first, double albums of studio material that was put out. That was put out in 1966, Blonde on Blonde, and I have a mono copy of that and a reissue mono copy of 180 gram vinyl. Probably one of the best records out there. It's a must-be collection. But would you say that that's as good as the Beatles double white, or would you say that this is better than that? Physical Graffiti is better than that? you're talking two different eras, really. I mean, 1966 and 1968 were even like two different eras. You know, Blonde on Blonde was done basically ad libbed in Nashville. Bob Dylan just said, "This is what I'm doing. Just follow me." Except, just what I'm doing, play what I'm playing, except for the key and meter of the songs. Do what you want. So that was a first. That was a precedent at the time for recording. And some people think that's his best record. I like it, but I really do. I really do like Highway 61 Revisited. It may be a common choice. I also like Bringing It All Back Home. And I also like John Wesley Harding. So that's a situation for another day. So here's Led Zeppelin 3, an original one I found at Record Revival in Quakertown, PA. And what's cool about this is on the back, it says manufactured under license issued by Atlantic Recording Corporation to Record Club of America Incorporated. Now, this could very well be an Atlantic Record Club issue, but it is an 1841 Broadway. It's also an 1841 Broadway, SD 7201, the original catalog number with the original side, with the original thing that rolls as you do that. Change the picture. And this is pretty cool. Here's the inside cover. Really nice copy. This was not even, I don't think this was even $15, this album. I was looking through the Led Zeppelin. I always look when I go to Quakertown, I always look through the Led Zeppelin area to see if I could get not the 180 gram, because I have Houses of the Holy in I would say it's like a 76, 77 press. Excuse me, it has a Warner Brothers logo on the bottom, and it's a good sounding copy. I just don't have an 1841 of that yet. I have an original Coda on Swan Song. I have so many copies of an original In Through the Outdoor. It's not even funny. I don't even know if I'm missing any pictures of the front cover at different angles. I don't know if I'm missing any. I might be missing one. I'm not sure if I have the one with the rear of the bar, with the lady sitting there where you could see her, more in full view. But I was looking through the Led Zeppelin albums, and I think it was out of the L section, not Led Zeppelin, but the L section, which was like various, LPs, that start in the L category. And Led Zeppelin 3 just flew right out at me. I moved records, and this just slid out right in front of me. And I said, could this be an original? And it was 1841 Broadway. Crazy, huh? Here's a pretty cool deal. I always loved this record. Loaded, the Velvet Underground, their final album with Lou Reed, released in 1970 on Cotillion Records, which was a division of Atlantic Records. This is the only copy I have of this on vinyl, and if this is on crystal clear vinyl. It's on crystal clear vinyl. I mean, what a way to get the record, right? I've seen original Cotillion copies. I've seen promos of this on Cotillion. Not too much in the price range, but I have seen them. And I believe it was Ahmet Ertegun, or I think it was Ahmet Ertegun, or it was Arif Mardin. It might have been Arif Mardin who said to them, you have to have an album loaded with hits or loaded with songs that people are going to recognize. Because the previous albums by Velvet Underground, I mean, save for the self-titled Quiet One, they call it. I heard that the other day on CD, and it's a good record. I like that one too. But I do like the Velvet Underground and Nico, and of course the Velvet Underground White Light, White Heat is an experience unto itself. I have that on white vinyl actually, and it was on Verve, and it was from, I would say, in the last 2 decades. I think that was released on white vinyl. It was, bought that for $12, and I listened to it, and you could almost call it an album where Velvet Underground just had their instruments all the way up to 20 and just ad-lib lyrics. Because it's like, really, I mean, it's in the red. If you look at the dial, I mean, it really is on the red. They're not kidding with the front cover. So, and if you look, you could see that little skull face that's in there if you move the cover back and forth, because it's black, and then you can see that shining. But So they titled this album Loaded, and I also have the 5-1 box set of this, and it's called Reloaded, with the 5-1 surround mix, the original mix, a remix, and a rare mono mix, a rare original mono mix of this album, and it does sound different. The 5-1 I really need to listen to, and I'll give you guys an update about that pretty soon, hopefully. But this is I just looked under the letter V. This is in Spin Me Around Records, and I looked under the letter V. And I said, why not? And here it is, record store day copy, and it's the Cotillion label, and I think it's. I don't want to say it's. I might be in the norm by saying it's their best album. I think it's their most accessible one. You know, if you're not a huge Velvet Underground fan that will buy everything that they have, but I think that this is a really good record. I mean, John Cale left by this point. It was Sterling Morrison, Doug Yule, Mo Tucker, and Lou Reed. Mo Tucker is not really drumming on too much of this album because she was having a family at the time. I don't know if she's on this album at all, even though she's credited. I have the booklet with the loaded. It says in there in the booklet inside the box set. So that's you know that remains to be seen. I don't think she's drumming too much on this album though, not too much. And this is a record I bought as I belong to a club called the Other Vinyl Record Collectors group on Facebook, and everybody was posting a copy of this. So I figured, why not just pick up a copy of it and share in the laughs? I mean, it's nothing to be. The music is not to be laughed at. I mean, this is a classic record from 1966, and this is Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass, Whipped Cream, and Other Delights. This is a stereo copy. I do have a mono copy in the shrink wrap, and everybody and their brother posted this. So I said, why don't I get into the act, just have a little fun, and post it myself? And people got the got their kicks out of it. They thought it was pretty funny that I did it. So here it is, a stereo copy with an original A&M sleeve inside, which advertised most of the Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass albums. When it was Herb Alpert's Tijuana Brass, it was only Herb Alpert overdubbing all the horns himself. It wasn't until later that he had albums under the moniker Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass. This is him overdubbing all the horns on this. And of course, the big hit was A Taste of Funny on it. And Peanuts was another one. Tangerine is another big one. But some people have bought it and haven't listened to it. I haven't listened to it in some time. I had the CD. I still do. I'm not sure. But it's a good album. I recommend Herb Alpert's Christmas album, and I recommend his album, The Beat of the Brass. That has his vocal of This Guy's in Love with You. And that's a real nice album to listen to. The Christmas album is really nice too. And here, I had to pick this up because I don't see this that often. This is a reissue on A&M of the Procol Harum's debut album, 1967. It's known as on A&M, A Whiter Shade of Pale, but on DeRam Records in 1967, it was called Procol Harum. This is reissued as A Whiter Shade of Pale. Same tracks, nothing is abridged. It's just on the A&M label, and it's the 70s A&M label. This is roughly from 1973. This is the A&M label. I would think this is probably maybe it could be 73. I would think it is 73 when the label made the transition from the plain brown one. But it has all the singles. It doesn't say on the record that it's in stereo because it is like the one that came out in 1967. They both came out in mono and stereo. But stereo, it was not a true stereo album. It was electronically reprocessed for stereo from a mono recording, just like this is. If you want to get the original stereo mix at all, you have to pick up the deluxe set on CD. And the thing is, it has the UK listing on the CD. So the UK listing did not have A Whiter Shade of Pale on the original album. In the UK. In the United States, it had A Whiter Shade of Pale, but not in the UK. So it has Conquistador. tracks, except for White Shade of Pale, because that was a single, and that was a single over here as well. But they put it as a track on the original Procol Harum album. And this original album also had a poster, and it says to be listened to in the spirit in which it was made. And this is what the poster was, if you had one back then, if you're lucky to have one, because I have never seen one with a poster, an original mono or stereo. I might have seen one like back at a record show years ago, but I never had it in my hand. It was on an easel. This guy had an entire row of albums that just had a big play card on it that said mono with an exclamation point. And I think it had this. It had their Satanic Majesty's Request, possibly Days of Future Past by the Moody Blues, which I have never seen a mono copy at all, beat up or otherwise. That has never passed in my lifetime in front of me, ever. That record in mono. There are some mono mixes of songs on the deluxe set that I have, but it's not a complete mono mix of the album. That might have been lost. So that was the only Moody Blues album. Oh, well, go now. Moody Blues #1. That was mono and electronically reprocessed stereo on London. Yes, that was London. And Duran was all after that. And then they went to Threshold. But this is an A&M Procol Harum in great shape. Has the A&M sleeve, just a gray sleeve on this side. And on this side, it has the Procol Harum albums that were on A&M at the time, like Shine On Brightly, A Salty Dog, Home, Broken Barricades. And it's really cool. So, guys, that's my list. That's my video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you come and visit my channel here, youtube.com @NickTheRecordLover1969. And I hope you guys all enjoy the music. If you guys got any comments, please leave the comments. I'll answer every one of them. I'll acknowledge them. We'll talk. We'll discuss. Hey, you have any of these records? Let me know. If you want to discuss any kind of music, let me know. So I'm signing off. Nick the Record Lover here. It's Monday night. Peace. Enjoy the music. I love you. Have a great night.